This is Political Communication, and I'm your professor, Dr. Patrick Stewart. In this lesson, we focus on political speeches and observable audience response. Specifically, we're interested in the rhetorical tools used by political figures during their speeches and the different ways that audiences show their support or lack thereof. Like any discussion, in political speeches, the information flows both ways. Even with quiet individuals or groups where not a word is said by those listening, feedback is given through nonverbal display behavior such as body movements and vocalic utterances. The big question is, how do the parties coordinate? Especially with large groups, there are invited responses, whereas a speaker uses rhetorical tools to invite applause and cheering, laughter, booing, and in some cases, chanting. Sometimes observable audience responses, referred to as OAR, is uninvited, with the audience misreading the speaker in some manner. Because politics is based upon making speeches, often in front of supporters, but sometimes in front of crowds mixed with followers, opponents, and unaffiliated individuals, understanding the best rhetorical strategies to communicate with the public has been something scholars have considered going all the way back to at least ancient Greece. The first part of understanding the dialogue between speakers and audiences is to consider the rhetorical tools the speaker has at their disposal. According to Heritage and Greatbatch, there are two analytically distinct dimensions of speaker conduct that influences how the audience responds: the construction of the argument and their comportment. While we certainly have and will consider the nonverbal comportment of speakers, understanding why individuals in an audience respond to statements is of greatest interest in this section. Most obviously, the topic of utterances will influence whether and how an audience responds, but perhaps what is most important is developing statements that are responded to in a systematic manner. In other words, when the speaker and the audience are on the same page with their discussion, they become closer to each other in their followership-leadership relationship. As a result, statements are verbally constructed to emphasize and highlight their context within the speech itself, and perhaps most important for a discussion that involves multiple people, projects a clear completion point for the message. In other words, there needs to be a functional purpose for utterances that make up a speech, and there need to be points at which the audience can obviously punctuate the utterances themselves with agreement. When a political figure engages in a speech, there are multiple different functional goals that are met within the time allotted them. While these verbal statements may come in combination, they can often be seen as distinct. The first and most obvious goal of political actors is to attack, whether external entities, such as opposing of parties, politicians, and other collectives such as nations, corporations, or even international organizations, or internal entities such as factions and individuals opposing the political actor. Attacks are often seen in political speeches. These attacks can be on past actions, current policies, and members or future positions. Acclaims provide a second major functional goal of political figures when they engage in speeches. Making general statements of approval concerning one's own party suggests a connection that underscores the shared social identity of the speaker and the audience. This may include policy positions, especially as these involve a shared future that benefits the entire group. Speakers have multiple rhetorical tools at their disposal to connect and convince their audience of their positions. Contrast, also known as antithesis, occurs when the speaker makes an argument twice, once in a positive format, once in a negative form. Lists occur to strengthen, underline, and amplify a position, and often takes the form of a three-part list. The puzzle solution approach involves creating a puzzle or problem in the listener's mind, and then offering the solution. Making a headline by proposing a declaration of some sort, and then providing the punchline provides predictability from the speaker to the audience. And finally, position taking occurs when the speaker describes a state of affairs, then takes a strongly evaluative stance.